Ashley, welcome back. Today I have a fun Christmas coffee themed shaker card tutorial to share with you. I will be using the Summertime Sips die set for this card. I'm going to be using the rounded dome lid, and I will be using the whip topping and the straw for this. So to start, I am going to put together the inner die and the outer die to the cup so it's set up for cutting out my window. So I just use a little purple tape to make sure that they stick together so I can transfer it around when I need to keep it together. So then I go through and cut all the pieces that I need to have that window cut out of. So this is just some red fun foam, and I cut it out twice so I can layer it up and have it be a little bit thicker. The second thing I cut out with this is my outside of the cup, the part that you will see when it's all put together. Then I'm done with that. So then I take that inner die out and I just use the outer die because I don't need a window for the card base. For the card base, I am using some watercolor paper. I'm going to be watercoloring this background today. And then I also cut out the card to make it look like a coffee cup. So to do this, you just line it up right on your score line, just below the cut line of the die. You don't want it to cut it. So you just line it up. You can use washi tape, whatever you need to hold it still, and then run it through your die cutting machine like that, and it will come out as a card. So now I'm working with my watercolor paper. I am going to be using a flat brush for this, and I'm going to be using this Spectrum Noir Aqua. It's a watercolor in a jar, and this particular one is sparkly. I wanted to make sure this card looked really festive and sparkly and glittery, so that's why I went for this one. So what I'm going to do is take this little dropper and get some of that watercolor into my little vessel here so I can... It's off camera, but it's right up there. There's three little sections to that. So I'm just getting some of it in there so then I can go ahead and start mixing it if I want it a little bit lighter, and so on. So my first step is just to get that watercolor paper wet so it takes the color really easy and it doesn't sink right in. So you can see how great it starts moving around. So I am trying to create an kind of gradual change there from darker to lighter. So I'm coming in over and over with that ink at the bottom to get it darker, and then I'm going in and adding a little bit of water and mixing a little bit of that watercolor in it to get it a little bit lighter, and then I will continue on to the top of the cup that way. So personally, I am not a coffee drinker. I have tried it and I just can't do it. But this could totally be chai tea, hot chocolate, any kind of different hot toddy drink you would want it to be. You could even change the color of it too. So I ended up letting this dry and then going over it again, and this is how it came out. You can see how sparkly it is at the bottom especially. So I wanted it to be even throughout. So I went in with some clear sparkle and just made sure that sparkliness was even throughout the whole thing. And just a reminder, you can see on the edges how it's not so perfect, and you can see where some of that water had pooled up. That is not going to matter because that's going to be covered up when you see our final project. So I'm not worried about that at all. So now I'm adhering that to the card base. And again, a little bit of the white is sticking through, and that's not going to matter at the end. So, and I'm pushing it from the back just so I don't get too much sparkly on my hand. So now I'm taking these two pieces of foam, and you can get this at any craft store. It's really easy to use and to put together. So I'm doubling it up. I adhered it together there so you can see it just makes it a little bit thicker. So when you're shaking around all your shaker bits, they move around a little more freely. So now I laid down some liquid glue and I just spread it over with my hands just so it didn't want to bleed into the clear part. I just didn't want to deal with glue mess. So I just spread it around with my finger really thin, and then I applied my clear acetate over to the top of it. If you don't have acetate, you can always use like the clear packaging material and get the same look. So now I'm taking my red outer piece and adhering that on. And now you can kind of see how it's coming together. You don't see any of the other little pieces behind it. Now I'm coming in with my straw and seeing where I want that to be positioned. You won't be able to add the straw into the card afterwards if you want to see it through the shaker, because all the shaker pieces will be there. So that's a good tip. One time I had made everything and then I had my straw and went, oh wait, whoops. So next I am laying down my whip topping. You can't tell on this, but that paper is a little bit sparkly for the whip topping. So it's when you see it up close, you can really see that. And then I am adhering just the bottom of that acetate with some clear tape runner and laying that down just on the top of my red front. And you can't really see the tape. I mean, it works fine. You don't notice that at all. So now I am ready to put all my shaker bits in. This is the funnest part for me. So these shaker bits from Trinity right now, she has a lot of them off of the website, but they will be back on. If you look in my description below, I will write the date that they are expected to be back in the shop, which should be very soon, before Thanksgiving, hopefully. So I will have that date posted there just so you can check. And I will have all of these shaker bits listed too, so you can go back in and reference when they are back in the shop. So I'm just adding them in. I am goofy and I like to kind of place them around, even though it's not going to matter because they're going to move around. But that just kind of gives me an idea of how they will be when you're shaking it around, and you know, how much space it takes up in the little shaker box. So I started out with these two Christmassy ones, and then I decided to go in with these little jelly drop hearts and add some of those in there too. I like these because some are kind of clear see-through and some are a little bit more matted, so it just gives it a lot of different looks. Then I added some of these iridescent no-hole sequins, which are a lot of fun. All right, so now I have everything done and ready to go. Now I laid down some tape runner adhesive on the edges of this, but I am going in with glue as well, just to make sure that this is adhered really well, because the worst thing in the world is to make your shaker and then go look at it the next day and see it coming apart. So I just wanted to make sure everything was adhered and secure very well. So I'm laying down my base on top of my shaker, got that all done, and then I decided I wanted to add a little bit of some Stickles glitter glue onto the embossed lines on my foam topping. So I'm just doing that right now, and it worked out just fine. And so that is our shaker card. I just love making these. They're so fun. My last step is to add the sentiment, good tidings of comfort and joy. I thought that was very fitting for this card. And again, I will have everything that I've used here listed below so you can find it and reference it. So I just laid that down right on top of everything, and then our shaker card is done. And so I just wanted to show you too how it opens and how it lays flat on the back too. So you will see that in a moment here, how that part of it works, just in case you were wondering. Opens up nice and flat, and you can see it from the side right there, how it lays flat. So that is the card. I hope you enjoyed this video and got some tips and tricks for making fun shaker cards. Please be sure to like and subscribe to Trinity Stamps YouTube page. Also be sure to check out our Facebook page, Imagination, Inspiration, and Conversation, for more crafty fun. Thank you. Have a great day.